Their new line of attack is this, that you don't have the right to infect someone else. Let's talk about this. The Democrats and the lockdown crowd are starting to deal with some real hard public pressure. As a friend of mine reminded me on email yesterday, we had a line in the Secret Service about getting big. When the shots start firing and you're a Secret Service agent, folks, you don't get the duck. You do the opposite. You have to train the opposite because your instinct when gunshots are coming is to do what? It's to duck and get out of the way. To train a Secret Service agent takes about a year or more to train them to get big and not small so that the bullets hit them and not the guy or woman behind them. It's now time to get big. It's time to put our big boy pants on for the libs out there and start to deal with a crisis that has some really hard problems that are going to require some really hard solutions, and stop with the Pollyanna bull responses like, lock it down or you have blood on your hands. I'm sorry, that's an idiotic, simpleton response that only someone with an IQ in the double digits would say. This is a multivariable, complicated problem that is going to require big people to get big and make hard decisions that require guts. If you're a simpleton with no guts who wants to say dumb things like, well, you don't have the right to kill someone else, you're discounted from the conversation like the hapless Cuomo. Number one, if you are willingly infecting other people, yes, you are a son of a, you get it. You've probably broken the law. You're an unethical, immoral slob, and you should probably be prosecuted. Willingly infecting someone else with a potentially deadly virus. Case closed on that. We can all, I can't imagine anyone would disagree with that. If you are willingly infecting other, you're a sick human being.
Yeah.
But what Cuomo is saying is he's conflating that. This is the Democrats. Don't forget, you don't have the right to infect someone else, as if you're doing it willingly. But that's not what we're forget the willingly. We all agree those are evil people who should be prosecuted. What they're suggesting is that your very presence in public, whether you have this virus, you're asymptomatic and don't know, your very presence in public is a threat to others. And because of that threat, we should bankrupt you, starve you, bankrupt the economy, and keep it shut down until we can bribe the federal government for a state bailout because we couldn't handle our finances for the past 3 decades.
Oh,
please understand the distinction. Cuomo's not a dumb politician. He understands right now what he's doing. He needs a federal bailout for his state because he has bankrupted them for decades. A federal bailout, which is just a bailout, again, by people who live here for other people who live here, taking money from people who live here to give to others that we don't have to borrow from people who live here. We don't have any money. He wants them, so he understands he has to make emotionally loaded arguments. And the first argument he's going to make is, you don't have the right to infect anybody else. Ladies and gentlemen, do you understand? Forgetting willingly doing it. Unwillingly, if you don't know it, you're out in public and you shake someone's hand when you have a cold and you don't know it. Ladies and gentlemen, you didn't do anything wrong. The world is full of risk. There are people who get into car accidents every day. There are people who, get on an airplane that crashes. There are people who come down with deadly viruses just from living in a world full of risk. Suggesting we should lock down and bankrupt people to mitigate every single risk is insane. Think about that logic, okay? I don't want to confuse anybody. This is important. The logic he's using, you don't have the right to unwillingly infect anybody else. And I'm going to use that as an excuse to squelch your individual liberty and freedom and destroy your job and your livelihood and everything else. I took a few notes here. We could use that logic for anything, Joe. We could say, well, you don't have the right to infect anyone else with the flu. I'm forcing you to get a flu shot. I don't want to get a flu shot. You may not want, I get them. You may not want them, and I understand that. That's your choice. We live in a free country. I'm going to ask you a question at the end of this as a test in this segment. Joe, is that not, you don't have the right to infect anyone with the flu. You have to get a flu shot. Well, what if I don't? You're going to jail. The same logic can be used there. To liberals, this sounds reasonable. No one has the right to infect anyone with the flu. Mandatory. Get a flu shot or you're going to jail. We could say it's mandatory you eat vegetables. Mandatory. We're going to do home checks every night. You don't have the right to go to the hospital if you eat chocolate and potato chips every day and have a heart attack and take services away from someone else. You don't have that right.
No.
You have to eat vegetables every not fair? Sounds reasonable to the anti-liberty crowd, right? We'll arrest you if you don't get a flu shot. Home checks every night for vegetable eating. Why not? It's the same logic, is it not? You don't have the right to infect anyone. You have the right to take hospital services away because you don't eat right. What about alcohol? Why is alcohol legal? You don't have the right to get drunk. You could get in a car and kill someone. It happens all the time. Drunk driving is a very serious problem. People die all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Both the person who engaged in the drunk driving and they kill other people. Alcohol. Why is alcohol legal? You don't have that right to drink. You could put someone else at risk. You could fall on your face because you're drunk. Have to go to the emergency room, take away services from someone else. Cigarettes. Why is tobacco legal? You don't have that right to pollute your lungs with tar and nicotine. Chemicals. You're going to go to the hospital and need a lung transplant from someone who needed a lung transplant because they had some disease not related to smoke. You don't have that right. I'm going to ask you this final question. I want to move on.
Yeah.
This is the only question that matters. The only question that matters now in response to that. Do you believe in liberty and freedom or not? That is it. If you believe in liberty, liberty comes with consequences and great responsibility. Liberty is not easy. It was never going to be easy. It's not as simple 2 + 2 = 4. Liberty has consequences and freedom has consequences. But we have believed as the most wealthy, prosperous, freedom-loving constitutional republic for over 200 years that those consequences are worth it. That the price we pay for liberty, yes, people get sick sometimes because they don't get a flu shot. Yes, people go to the hospital because they eat terribly. Yes, people do drunk drive and kill other people tragically because they make really dumb decisions with alcohol. People choose to smoke knowing it will kill them and take up healthcare services. No, but we want to be free. We were born free. God has touched us on our shoulders and blessed us with the big R God-given right to freedom. Do you believe in it or not? And if you believe in it, ladies and gentlemen, then what's going on now is a travesty. We live in a world of risk. This virus has presented another one. There are measures, masks, hand washing, appropriate social distancing, spacing out restaurants we can take, but we live in a world of risk that is, listen to me, never going away, ever. Listen. Horse blinders, please. I used to say this to people in the Secret Service when they got distracted and I was talking to them. Put your horse blinders on. Right now. It is never, ever, ever going away. Ever. Ever. Risk is never going away. Ever. Do you want to be free or not? Because there's a very simple way to eliminate the risk in your life. That's to chain yourself, take your own liberty away to your bathroom and have someone come in a food dish in a bubble suit every day and drop off some water. It's called jail. Jail. That's what that is. There's no risk in jail. They can isolate you in solitary. You're not going to get any virus. You will never be hit by a drunk driver. You'll probably get some medical services too. You don't ever have to worry about the corona or anything else. You are in solitary confinement, but you are not free. And it's time to get big again. It's time to stop ducking, and it's time to get big. And I'm sorry, these lockdowns are a catastrophic mistake.
You just heard The Dan Bongino Show. You can also get Dan's podcasts on iTunes or SoundCloud. And follow Dan on Twitter 24/7 @DBongino.